step up in competition tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of new pieces for each team. For North Carolina, no more Armando Bacot, who patrolled the paint for the Tar Heels for the last 5 years, the all-time leading rebounder for North Carolina. And it is an upgraded lineup for Kansas.
Those decibels just keep on climbing, almost to a man. Nobody on North Carolina has been to this building before. None of them have played in this building. Some have been here for other reasons every now and again. Coach Hubert Davis, of course, a part of our crew on game day, was here when he was working in the business, but R.J. Davis hasn't played here. None of these guys have played here. This is truly an experience. Kip Kissinger with the toss, and we are underway here at the Phog. Carolina with the opening possession.
DeJuan Harris guarding R.J. Davis. Harris was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year a couple of years ago.
Seth Trimble, who's already had a very good offensive game in the season opener for the Heels, misses a good look at a three, and it's over to the Jayhawks. Look at the Kansas starters. Three very familiar names. And Harris, one of the best players in America, R.J. Davis knocking down a three.
North Carolina has tremendous speed this season. They're led by their trio of guards, but they can get the ball up and down the floor incredibly quickly.
Would you say even by Carolina standards, they're playing fast?
Yes.
Dickinson wants a clear out. Kicks it cross court. Shot fake. Coy misses the three, and the rebound down to Jalen Withers, and here come the Heels.
Good block out by Jalen Washington against Hunter Dickinson.
What a burst of speed by Davis, and DeJuan Harris has to foul. Well, this has the possibility of being a very big night for Bill Self. 589 wins as the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Phog Allen, the man for whom this building is named, at 590. So already a Hall of Fame career, an incredible coach, but that would be a wonderful milestone, and it's coming soon, whether it's tonight or the next couple of weeks. But it just speaks again to the kind of tenure that Bill Self has had here in Lawrence.
It's been truly amazing. And Phog Allen, the man for whom Dean Smith played.
Yes.
Dean Smith was a player here at Kansas.
You can draw a straight line from Hubert Davis to Dean Smith. Hubert played for Dean. Dean Smith played for Phog Allen, and Phog Allen played for James Naismith. You want to talk about two programs with an incredible tradition, and as they like to tell you, and proudly so, here at Lawrence, this is the cradle of basketball, the cradle of college basketball, but both of these programs have unbelievable tradition. And
Dr. Naismith, the first coach here, was the only Kansas coach with a losing record. And he invented the game.
So you give him a pass, right? If it weren't for him, what would you and I be doing for a living right now? Harris looking inside for Adams, and it's out of bounds to Carolina. There's Hubert Davis, his fourth season as head coach in Chapel Hill, all the way to the national championship game in his first year. Who did they lose to? Kansas. The connections continue between these two great programs.
David Coit doing a really good job of putting pressure on the ball against Elliot Cadeau.
Back to Davis. Not this time on the three, and it's tipped into the hands of Rylan Griffin. DeJuan Harris in his final year. We've got a lot of guys using that extra COVID year, getting one more year of college basketball on both of these teams. Adams, the pull-up, and too strong as it comes down to Washington.
Good defensive possession for Carolina to force that shot.
For those who haven't seen Carolina yet, how much better? Whoa, as Cadeau goes up top to Washington. How much better are Elliot Cadeau and Seth Trimble than they were a year ago?
Well, both of them are far superior shooters to what they were a year ago. But Hubert Davis was telling us this morning the leadership jump that Elliot Cadeau has taken has been monumental for this North Carolina team. But he also did say that this has been a very quiet team. If they want to be he brought the ball up the court and got into the paint. You cannot jog back against Carolina. You have to sprint.
How about Adams? That's the second 15-footer we've seen him take in the game already.
Well, those are shots I think Hubert Davis is willing to live with.
Trimble has to kick it back out to Jackson. A great athlete, terrific in transition, and a nice find inside to Lubin.
Kansas cannot overcommit defensively and leave a man wide open under the basket. That would have been a tough two for Jackson had he chosen to take it, but you give up an easy layup by overcommitting.
Mayo, the floater will go. The former Jackrabbit, a Lawrence, Kansas kid, the Summit League Player of the Year a year ago for South Dakota State.
Zeke Mayo can really shoot the ball. He's got terrific range. But Kansas went from a team last year that was not a great shooting team, couldn't really stretch you out, to this year they have multiple shooters, and Mayo with a nice little floater, but where he's really dangerous is from that three-point line. He's wired to score. Both he and Coit, David Coit, are outstanding scorers that are hungry, looking to score the ball.
And how much deeper is this Kansas roster than it was a year ago?
A lot deeper.
Trimble bothered by a couple of Jayhawks, including Dickinson. Storr, coast to coast, and it's a goaltending call on Jackson.
Well, A.J. Storr averaged about 17 points a game last year and just under 2 steals at Wisconsin. And he's another elite athlete that can really score.
He's coming off the bench. Mayo's coming off the bench. Flory Bidunga, a very highly thought of freshman who was in for just a couple of minutes. He's coming off the bench. A lot more bodies for Bill Self this year. Jalen Washington back into the game for Carolina. Trimble, baseline. Tried to give it to Washington. Got it back, puts it up, and the rebound to Mayo. Point up top. Storr! Cadeau with the
dunk, and Carolina's laying it in right after that.
Another good feed from Dickinson to Adams.
That double has to come on the flight of the ball. If it gets there after Hunter Dickinson catches it, he's going to pick you apart.
At 7'2", he can see over the top of anybody.
Kansas getting out.
It's actually down 1,000 this year from 16-3 to 15-3. But boy, there's no better place to watch a game in America than this building right here.
If you're a tennis lover, you want to go to Wimbledon. If you love golf, you want to go to St. Andrews. If you love basketball, you have to come to Allen Fieldhouse.
This is it.
Period.
Yep. Cade Tyson, a transfer from Belmont, just checked in for Carolina. Air ball on the jumper, and now a foul committed by Withers on the other end.
Great sideline advance by Kansas. They got the ball up the left sideline and really put a ton of pressure on North Carolina's transition defense. And thus far in the game, Kansas 16 points in the paint to North Carolina's 8. And it is 11-5 in rebounding in favor of Kansas. Not a single offensive rebound thus far in the game for North Carolina.
Second foul on Jalen Withers, who was really good against Elon. Had 10 points, 10 rebounds in the win for the Tar Heels. And they actually trailed in that game with less than 7 minutes to go against Elon. R.J. Davis hit a couple of big buckets, hit a 2, hit a 3, and they wound up closing the game on a 21-5 run, but they got pushed.
Well, Elon ran a zone against North Carolina, and it really confused the Tar Heels. And Hubert Davis inserted R.J. Davis back into the game. He scored 5 straight points, so North Carolina could retake the lead. But Elon actually had the lead in the second half, midway through the second half against North Carolina.
You know, when you look at this lineup, and for so many years, Armando Bacot has been the big man in the middle. There's no more Bacot. There's no Harrison Ingram. It's Van Allen Lubin and Cade Tyson right now as the 2 bigger players on the floor for Carolina. They've just got a different feel about them this year.
Well, that's really the question for North Carolina is, can they rebound at a high level against their opponents? And who do you throw the ball to? What big guy is going to get them a bucket down in the paint when they need one?
Hunter Dickinson looking up at that new scoreboard. He just got called for going over the back, and that is his second foul. Not even halfway through the first half.
No, that's not a foul. That's just rebounding.
So he's gone to the bench. We will see for how long. And Badunga is back in, the 6'9" freshman from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That was him. He's not going to get credit for a block because the whistle had already blown, but get used to that. He can do that.
And that's one of the areas where you've got to show discipline as a defender. When you've got Badunga behind you, give him the opportunity to challenge or wipe away a shot. Don't foul to take that opportunity away, because he spiked that ball like Karch Karai.
Elliot Cadeau with the line. Well, the season is just getting started, and more action coming your way on Sunday. It'll be Michigan and Wake squaring off in the inaugural Deacon Wolverine Challenge, 1 Eastern on ESPN2. And then at 5 Eastern on ESPN, it'll be Gonzaga and Arizona State. How about the statement that Mark Fuse Zags made with that blowout win over Baylor?
Unbelievable. Gonzaga has a model program, and they're going to be right there again.
Boy, that's a good-looking stroke from Zeke Mayo. And we've got a shot clock issue. Now it's back on. It was only at one end of the court. And it's off again. It's all good to our left. It's not so good at the moment to our right. And you never play with one. You got to have them both working, or you got to make it even. And we'll see if this is hopefully an easily and quickly fixable situation.
Can't you just count out loud for him to say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi?
I don't know, Jay. It keeps going on and off. It's on right now, but it looks like they're going to put the ball back in play, so away we go. Technology, as you know, is awesome until it's not. But it's working. And a kickball, so it'll stay with Carolina. DeJuan Harris and most of the 15,300 did not agree with the call. What'd you think?
That's a good call. I mean,
Yeah.
He moved his foot to
Moved
get
his
away.
foot, yep. Cadeau had a big game against Elon. 17 points, 8 assists, 3 steals. Here's Davis off a screen. Leans in, the force, the follow by Lubin. Trimble runs it down. And they leave him open. Boy, it's a battle on the boards, and it's won by... How special is this for a kid who grew up right here in Lawrence, Kansas, not recruited by the Jayhawks out of high school, went to South Dakota State, had 3 very good years, and is now here knocking down threes in a game of this magnitude.
Well, the Summit League Player of the Year last year. You know, Zeke Mayo can really stretch the floor, and that's a huge difference in this Kansas team from last year. Won their depth.
It's 11 rebounds, 2 of 4 from deep. Dan and Jay, Duke in control early.
Kevin, thank you very much. Well, another chance to see Cooper Flagg and Duke. They'll be in the late game Tuesday night at the Champions Classic. Kansas taking on Michigan State. Then the College Football Playoff Top 25 ranking show with Reese and the guys. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, the second game, Duke and Kentucky. What a night that's going to be.
And Cooper Flagg, the outstanding freshman at Duke, is off to a great start. He is a super talented, versatile player that can play inside and out. And he is going to turn a lot of heads in Durham, North Carolina and beyond. And he's the presumptive #1 pick in this summer's NBA draft.
The shot clock is working at the moment. As long as it keeps working, everything is fine. If one malfunctions, which had been the situation, they turn both of them off. And they apparently have portable shot clocks, which we've seen in the past on occasion. They're usually on the court or just off the corner of the court on the floor. You can't have a clock on at one end of the court and not at the other.
With these two teams and the pace at which they play, a shot clock is totally unnecessary.
You know, that's a good point by you. 11-point lead, Kansas.
Elevator screen.
Not this time for Mayo. What a rebound by Bidunga. And he stays with it. You want to talk about a guy with upside? Flory Bidunga.
What a big-time rebound.
Jackson the drive. Up, no good. Gets it back.
DeJuan Harris doing a really nice job at denying the ball to R.J. Davis.
Baseline jumper will go for Jackson. Known more for his driving ability than his shooting ability, but he has a chance to be a very big offensive weapon for the Tar Heels this year.
But can you imagine the difficulty as a freshman of your second game, your first road game being in Allen Fieldhouse? And Ian Jackson and Drake Powell have both made really good plays, and broken plays shows that they have a ton of talent.
Adams to Mayo. Jackson stays with him. Shot clock at 5. Storr on the drive, and it'll go.
When A.J. Storr gets downhill, he can elevate and finish plays.
A much different system and pace, of course, than playing at Wisconsin. Actually, third school in 3 years for Storr. He was a Johnny 2 years ago. Bidunga right at Lubin, and he draws the foul. And Bill Self is clapping on the sideline. He liked that a lot.
Flory Bidunga had 13 points and 8 rebounds to go along with 2 blocks and 2 steals in his first game against Howard. But a lot of big guys, you give them the ball that far out, you're asking for a walking call. But he used his feet very well. That is a big time rebound. And it didn't show how far he was above the rim and grabbing that and grabbing it with both hands.
Didn't start playing basketball until he was 14. The family moved to the U.S. his sophomore year of high school. He went to high school in Indiana and a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Indiana. A McDonald's All-American. Again, that's why you can see he's just getting started, Jay.
Well, lefty that can really put pressure on the rim. And as his skill level improves, you can see how high his ceiling is.
Davis for 3. Short. And Bidunga the rebound. How about the combination to the 5 spot? Dickinson goes to the bench with 2 fouls, and they bring a guy as talented as Bidunga in off the bench.
Kansas has done a really good job on the glass, not allowing second opportunities.
Harris blocked from behind by Jackson. It did hit the rim, so the shot clock went back to 20. Mayo wanted it back. Bidunga out of Storr. The pull-up from 12 will go. And A.J. Storr, you can feel it, you can see it, as he's getting more. A quick release by Jackson as he knocks down the 3. A big bucket for the Heels.
He is such an explosive athlete. Hubert Davis raved about his willingness to be coached. That he really wants to get better and is willing to listen.
Adams, another jumper off the back of the iron. And here comes Powell. Grew up a Heels fan. Davis, nice crossover, and the foul on Adams. And you can hear from the reaction from the crowd. They felt that Davis was out of control and already on his way down to the court. And he gets up, Jay, holding his left hand or wrist, his non-shooting hand, but he might have braced himself. Yeah, he did with his left wrist.
That's just a veteran play by R.J. Davis going into the contact. They caught legs there, and I get the point about being out of control, but there's really nothing in the rule book that says anything about being in control. He had won a path to the basket, and K.J. Adams wasn't in legal guarding position there, so the contact was an automatic foul.
Dickinson back in with 2 fouls for Kansas. Good minutes for Bidunga. And at the line, Davis, North Carolina's all-time leader in free throw percentage, 86% for his career.
And he gets there a lot.
Well over 2,000 points already in his career. Ten-point game with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Another jumper, more of a, that's one we've seen a little bit more often from Adams, kind of a shot put, and that one will go down.
One of the things you love about, there's a lot of things you love about KJ Adams, but his activity level, and he makes himself available.
He's got a unique skill set. He's been a great player here in Lawrence. Davis, the step back. And it's going to Kansas.
David Coit going after that ball, all 5'7" and a half of them.
Generously listed at 5'11" in the program, if there's such a thing as a program anymore.
Wasn't that hysterical yesterday in practice when he went in for a layup and Bill Self said, "Hey, you almost got net."
Coit with the ball right now, a late signee, signed in August again from Northern Illinois, scored almost 21 points per game last year. And a couple of months ago, if you said to Bill Self, do you think he's going to be in your starting five? And everything could change, obviously. I don't think the answer would have been a yes, but some of the other guys, it feels like they've taken a little bit longer getting comfortable in the system, and he's making things happen out there.
Well, he's had some big scoring games in his career. 37 against Buffalo. He had 34 against DePaul, where he made 8 threes. He may not be that tall, but he can really play.
Dickinson misses the front end, and Powell down with the rebound.
Rylan Griffin guarding R.J. Davis. Griffin, when he was at Alabama, they played North Carolina in the NCAA tournament. Griffin guarded him. There were a lot of switches, but he's got length.
Sweet 16 game. That's when Alabama knocked Carolina out of the tournament. Freshman Ty Claude is into the game now for Carolina. Or excuse me, a grad student. Ty Claude, a transfer from Georgia Tech. He's out of Goldsboro, North Carolina. Jackson waving off. He traveled.
Well, he wound up traveling at the end, Dan, but how about the speed of that crossover? And he got right into the chest of KJ Adams, just knocked him backwards. Watch this. And just a little shuffle, but you can see the talent that this young man has.
Jay, when's the last time you were doing a Carolina game and looked at a Heels lineup that was this small as these five right now?
It's been a long time.
Store to Dickinson. Oh! Count it, and a foul, and he is okay, back to his feet. And Kansas getting into the paint and getting to the rim.
In this first half, in an open side pick and roll, nice drop off, and Ty Claude just knocked right in when he was in that pile, knocked right into Dickinson. But you're seeing the depth of Kansas that the Jayhawks just didn't have last year. And that can help wear down opponents and certainly keep guys like DeJuan Harris, who played about 35 minutes a game last year, keep him a little more fresh.
And they've got the Carolina Bigs in foul trouble. Washington has 2, Lubin has 2, Withers has 2, Claude has 2. Davis guarded by Adams. Can't get around him. Claude trying to make something happen, and it is swatted out of bounds by Griffin.
As impressive as the Jayhawk offense has been, the level of engagement on defense has been just as impressive. Rylan Griffin coming over from the weak side to wipe that away with the left hand. That's a big-time play by the Alabama transfer.
And a 5-second call against the Heels. Carolina had a very good first 3-4 minutes in this game, but it has basically been all Kansas since. They've made 4 threes in 8 attempts, and they are scoring inside as well. Dickinson, Adams, Store with the penetration. They're getting some good looks. Griffin almost had his pocket picked by Jackson, and now Davis almost comes up with a good pressure in the backcourt. And we will step aside with Kansas playing very well, Jay, at both ends of the floor.
Well, the Jayhawks have been engaged. A big-time block by Rylan Griffin, coming over from the weak side to wipe that away. Right now, Kansas has taken another timeout because they have only 1 second to get it across. And taking a timeout, they get a new 10.
At Domino's, we're all about cheesy, so you know we had to make our new 5-cheese mac and cheese the crave-worthiest, cheesiest pasta possible. Just like all of our mouth-watering oven-baked pastas. But try one for yourself, including our new 5-cheese mac and cheese next time you order at Domino's.
I tried everything for my stubborn dandruff, and then I found Nizoral. Nizoral works differently to get to the root cause of dandruff. In fact, its active ingredient is 10 times more effective at fighting fungus, the primary cause of dandruff. Say goodbye to stubborn dandruff with Nizoral.
So back to the action here at the Phog, and as Jay said, Kansas used a timeout. When you call a timeout, instead of having just the 1 second to get it over, because the shot clock was at 21, when you burn a timeout, you get a fresh 10. So Coach Self used a timeout to retain possession, basically.
The media timeout would not have saved them from having to get it across with 1 second, but their own timeout does.
Boy, Hubert Davis can't like that. Dajuan Harris getting back his own miss and laying it in. Kansas dominating here towards the end of the first half. Jackson, the freshman, has given the Heels some good minutes off the bench. Trying to shake Griffin. Now Trimble, who's had a quiet first half after a very nice game against Elon. What a great effort there by Harris on that backdoor cut by Davis.
What a spectacular defensive play by Dajuan Harris Jr. Watch this back cut, and he just not only reads the cut, but then turns his head and makes that dive to knock the ball away. What a big-time play.
The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year 2 seasons ago.
Jamal Shedd of Houston took it from him last year.
Trimble did not know the shot clock was running down.
And that might be the best evidence of this being a quiet team. Just a lack of communication on the part of the Tar Heels to assess the situation and echo commands to one another in a very difficult environment.
And again, they're playing with a lineup right now that may not even have been together once in practice over the last couple of months for the Heels because of all the foul trouble they've got. Griffin wide right on the three and clawed down with a rebound for Carolina.
Really the first bad shot that Kansas has taken.
Powell in the corner, Adams on him. Trimble can't get into the paint. And we got a foul going against Carolina.
When Drake Powell caught the ball in the corner, you just can't hold it that long. You're not going to make a jab step move there. That just allows Kansas to load up their defense against you. I don't really know what happened. There were two hands on Rylan Griffin setting the screen, but I don't think that those two hands really affected all that much.
Number 3 on Claude, and you got a glimpse there of James Brown, the other freshman in this Heels class, 6'10", out of Aurora, Illinois, making his first appearance in this game.
Carolina's had to play some inexperienced players in this first half.
And as tough an environment, it goes without saying, as there is in college basketball. Harris into the paint, up top, and Bidunga slams it home.
I think he's going to shoot a high percentage this year.
Powell, no. Mayo the rebound, but down to Brown. Davis can't hit. And another Carolina foul.
Dajuan Harris gets the screen from Bidunga. That means Brown's got to come over and help. And you just throw it to the rim. And Bidunga can go as high as you need him to go. That's beautiful basketball right there on the open side pick and roll. Nobody there to tag from the corner because there's no player in the corner.
Bidunga at the line. Missed a couple of free throws a few minutes ago. 1-1 here.
That's amazing. Kansas going to hang 50 on North Carolina in the first half.
Made them both. And it is a 20-point lead for the Jayhawks. Trimble. Good defense by Storr, but eventually a foul call, and Trimble will head to the line.
And you give Storr credit for playing really hard there, but you have to keep in mind Badunga's behind you. And what? Badunga catches this ball with both hands. He didn't even bother to block it, he just caught it.
So Trimble rewarded with a trip to the line. Last year averaged about 5 points per game. Would it shock you if that doubled, or maybe even a little bit more than that this year?
Yeah, it will at least double. Seth Trimble's a different player this year. He had 15 points in the opener against Elon. He was 3 of 4 from 3. And how about this? He had 33 points against Memphis in an exhibition game.
Dajuan Harris has a cut that they are dealing with, so he has gone to the bench.
What would be more intimidating for you? Have Badunga block your shot into the 5th row or catch it?
Oh, catching is human. Yeah. That's rubbing it in. Right? That's adding insult to injury. A couple of free throws for Trimble, but it's still an 18-point game. The freshman of the game for Kansas, Rakis Passmore. Point for 3. That's Passmore racing in to keep that ball alive, and he's going to get his team an extra possession.
Well, Passmore is an explosive player and a real downhill driver that plays with a lot of toughness, and he can be physical. He was a football player in high school, played quarterback.
Mayo looking for Adams, now finds Passmore. Now Adams, and he lays it in. Boy, the ball sure not sticking for the Jayhawks tonight.
KJ Adams limping down court after that stick back.
Cadeau, count it, and a foul.
Strong drive by Cadeau, and he was body seeking there. He knew he had his defender in a bad spot and created that contact. Mayo was just behind him, tried to get back in front, and he just used his arms to create that contact and complete the play.
And Adams limping to the bench right now for Kansas. Cadeau completes the 3-point play.
I mean, the difference, Dan, is last year that would have really hurt Kansas. They didn't have a lot of options off the bench. This year, there are several more options.
Cadeau gets called for the foul. And a couple of free throws coming for Kansas. Hubert Davis never played a game in this building, played against Kansas in the Final Four in 1991, lost to the Jayhawks, and of course he has played in a million big games, both in college and in the pros, but this is the first time that he has been here other than for game day, when he was working for us for an actual game here in Lawrence. Well, what a Saturday of SEC action we've got for you tomorrow on ABC. It starts with number 5 Texas and Florida, then number 3 Georgia. Going to be a good game down in Oxford, and then Alabama and LSU. All the games also streaming on ESPN+.
I think the 12-team college football playoff has made things more interesting this season.
Keeps more fan bases involved, right? Right down to the end. Cadeau behind the back, and a foul going against the Jayhawks.
It's just the late reaches here. You know, Kansas has done a really good job swarming to the ball. They just can't reach.
Passmore gets called right there, 4 in white, reaching in.
Well, give him credit, though. He reached with both hands, and it's less likely to pick up a foul when you go in and swipe with one. But when you actually go try to get the ball with both hands, that's a much better way to do it.
Cadeau, a member of the ACC All-Freshman team a year ago. Remember, he reclassified to come to Carolina last year. Was an extremely young freshman a year ago. And again, as Hubert Davis told us, he thinks that Cadeau has taken some big steps forward in a number of different areas.
He's really shooting the ball with confidence. I mean, he made 3 out of 4 threes against Elon, and including his first bucket, and just looks so much more confident, which opens up his floor game to drive it. And he's an elite passer.
5-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock as Adams backs it out. And now Bill Self hollers out the instructions, and Harris will initiate the offense.
Got to think they're looking for Dickinson here on the weak side.
Just brought him back into the game with the last whistle. There it is. Misses the hook.
And back cut. That's where Griffin's got to get that arm out to try to discourage that pass.
Dickinson the screen to try to get Coit free, and Cadeau is called for the foul. That'll be his second. And here comes A.J. Storr, who did some really nice things for the Jayhawks in the first half. He is taking the place of Rylan Griffin. And by the way, you may remember KJ Adams was limping and came out of the game with about a minute to go in the first half. Is back in there to start the second half, but we did see him on the bench before play resumed, putting a little bit of an extra wrap on that left ankle. Good rebound in traffic by Withers.
Well, KJ Adams so good out of that short roll as a playmaker.
Cadeau, and what a cut by Davis.
Well, you thought that was going to go to the roll man. And to your point, a beautiful cut from the right wing. Talk about cutting with speed and power. Just one little step and go. And what a beautiful pass. That's an elite pass by Elliot Cadeau. He threaded the needle there.
Also the third foul on DeJuan Harris Jr. and he's going to be coming out. Zeke Mayo has come to check in. So Kansas is going to lose their point guard for several minutes here. Coit will likely take over the bulk of the ball handling duty. Mayo can do that, but a guy who more often plays off the ball, he's in there to knock down some threes.
Well, these guards for North Carolina, Cadeau, Trimble, and Davis, are really dynamic. Question is, can they get enough help from the front court? They cut it to below 10 now.
The 5 quote-unquote big guys that Hubert Davis put into the game in the first half combined for 6 points and 10 fouls.
Not a good recipe.
Not against this good of a team in this kind of a building. In and out for Adams. And don't look now, it's a 9-point game in Carolina ball. Cadeau wide open. Short on the 3. Coit a look ahead. Storr runs it down, but can only save it to Cadeau. Davis for 3. Boy, and a good look that could have cut it to 6.
Job one has to be find R.J. Davis wherever he is.
Storr, good contest by Washington. And it'll stay at this end of the floor. Well, we have seen good energy, better execution from North Carolina, Jay, here to start the second half.
Well, that pass from Elliot Cadeau to R.J. Davis was absolutely spectacular. You thought he might look for the roll man, but instead he looks for the guy playing the biggest role on this team, R.J. Davis, the All-American. Spectacular.
And members of the military supporting both the Tar Heels and the Jayhawks. There's so many people from so many different parts of the globe tune in, no doubt, to this game. North Carolina and Kansas. It just has a good feel, a good sound to it. And looking forward to the rematch next year at the Dean Dome. Harris off to Adams, in and out. Harris the floater. Nobody really challenged him.
When you give second opportunities, Kansas is going to hurt you.
Withers Made a couple of threes against Elon in the season opener for the Heels, and he got a clean look from the corner there.
Yeah, didn't shoot it well last year from deep, but he made over 60 threes in his time at Louisville. He started his career at Louisville. Chris Mack recruited him there.
Fifth-year player, now a turnover. And now an off-balance runner goes for Cadeau as he draws another foul.
Cadeau is so quick and deceptively strong. I mean, he took a pretty good bump there and still was able to finish that play. But how long did A.J. Storr hang in the air before he dunked that thing? Well, look at the strength here. Just got past Zeke Mayo and took that bump in his chest and still finished the play.
And the second three-point play of the night for Elliot Cadeau, and Carolina within 8. They were down 15 at halftime. Two-man game here, Harris and Adams. Harris swings it back out. Dickinson finds Mayo. Mayo finds Dickinson, and it rolls off the rim.
Didn't get it, but that was beautiful basketball to get the layup opportunity.
Davis working hard to get a shot off. Dickinson the rebound.
How about the pace of this game? It is up and down.
And it's been that way since the moment it began. Harris playing with 3 fouls. Swings into Dickinson. Turnaround, no, and a late whistle and a call going against Carolina that has Hubert Davis stomping him out over on the sideline.
Dickinson trying to get back to that left hand. And Fennell and Lubin, yeah, it looked like he got him on the arm.
A friendly bounce for Dickinson. Point back in for Kansas. Harris sits. Jackson in for Carolina. Trimble sits. The freshman Ian Jackson, some really good minutes in the first half of the Heels.
He's a playmaker. What a talented young man he is.
And you can understand why a guy with his skill set chose this kind of a system at Carolina. He loves to get up the court.
Well, if you don't want to run, don't go to North Carolina.
Yeah. Withers hit one from the corner, now puts it on the deck and is fouled before the shot attempt.
I think the Kansas fans wanted a little discard call, but that was a really nice drive by Jalen Withers, who's a really strong athlete. He just got an angle on KJ Adams, took advantage of it.
Second foul on Adams.
Zeke Mayo is top blocking R.J. Davis. That means he's playing on top of him. That's going to be a foul on Badunga.
Yeah, boy, that was some determination there by Lubin. He knew exactly what he was doing.
And once he brought that arm down, he just went right into it. And Badunga will learn that as he gets more experience. You just got to stay straight up and down there and force a tough 2. And watch this right arm. He brings it down, and Lubin was smart enough to go right into that arm. He knew he'd draw the foul.
Lubin spent a year at Notre Dame, and then Mike Brey stepped down. Then he went to Vanderbilt, and Jerry Stackhouse got fired. So coaching changes at each of his first 2 spots, and that's one of the reasons, or maybe the reason, why he is at his 3rd school in 3 years. What does he bring to this Carolina team?
He's tough. He's got some versatility, and he can rebound.
They're going to need all the rebounding they can get. Not something we normally say about a Carolina team, but again, the composition of this roster is a lot different than your typical North Carolina squad.
Well, they're not as big, but Hubert Davis is talking to his team a lot about size isn't the factor in rebounding.
Yep.
It's about heart and going after the ball, and that's something they're going to have to continue to develop.
He talked about Harrison Ingram's rebounding numbers without being a 6'11 guy. A corner 3.
And that is not a shot that last year you would have expected Seth Trimble to make, but this year he is making it.
And now Jackson called for the foul as Mayo got around him. Jackson McDonald's All-American, ranked 7th in the ESPN 100 coming into the season.
He is really shifty with the ball. Remember that crossover he had in that first half. He is difficult to stay in front of.
Kansas with the ball and a 7-point lead. Adams. Blocked from behind. Bedunga cleans it up. Somebody else is dunking, and DeJuan Harris Jr. said, let me have a little bit of that. Boy, and now he is harassing R.J. Davis, but he got called for the foul.
It looked like he got the ball clean, but he had his left arm. That's a beautiful steal. Just great vision, and he got to the basket quickly so it couldn't be a blocked shot. What a big-time play by a great defender. But that last foul, he might have gotten the ball cleanly, but he had his off arm on the back of R.J. Davis there.
And he was all fired up after those couple of trips, and you can understand why, but that is a potentially costly foul for Kansas. Number 4 on Harris.
It takes their most reliable leader. Now take a look at this. It's his off arm on this second one here that I thought he had his arm right on the back of R.J. Davis, and I think that might have been the impetus for the foul.
Davis makes them both. Cadeau returns. Davis will sit here midway through the second half.
And Kansas has done a really good job on R.J. Davis. He does have 16 points, but he's really struggled from the field for him. And Kansas has done a really nice job making him uncomfortable and making everything difficult.
Yeah, he is 3 for 13 from the floor. He is 9 of 11 from the line.
And Kansas has to limit fouls in this second half. They fouled a little bit too much.
Storr. And knocks down the 3. Again, he is known much more as an athlete, a driver, rather than a shooter. Well, that's got Kansas back out to a double-digit lead.
You cannot bring a slow double team to Hunter Dickinson. It's got to be on the flight of the ball as he's catching it. Once he catches it, if you go after that, he'll pick you apart.
Storr, second team All-Big Ten a year ago with Wisconsin. Nice turnaround by Van Allen Lubin.
And a tough move with single coverage for that little turnaround jumper over his right shoulder.
Boy, a real blue-collar guy, but he's going to give the Tar Heels some good minutes. Storr to Mayo. Kept alive, but into the hands of Trimble. Ahead to Jackson, and he's fouled by Coit.
Now watch when Hunter Dickinson catches the ball on the right block here. You just can't wait that long to turn and double, and that leaves A.J. Storr wide open. Too long of a closeout. He had plenty of time to catch that in rhythm and knock down that 3.
Griffin returns for Kansas, Withers for Carolina, and Jackson to the line for the Heels. One of 7 brothers in the Jackson family. No wonder he's aggressive and competitive and fast. You gotta fight for everything you can get when you got 6 brothers.
I have 1 brother, and it's a lot.
Storr from the baseline, around and out. And here comes Trimble. Right at Dickinson, and a foul will send him to the line.
Once he brought that arm down, that changes everything. If he goes straight up, unless there was no body contact and he got all ball.
And if you're a lip reader, you saw Bill Self simply said twice, terrible.
Arm, but he got arm there.
Got arm after the ball. Yep.
You just want to stay straight up and down here and make him finish the play over the top of you. There's no question he got arm after he got the ball.
So Trimble, who averaged 5 a game last year, set a career high with 15 against Elon in the season opener for the Heels, and he just set a new career high. We have him at 16 on our stats monitor here, so 15 and 16, Jay, in the first 2 games of the season.
Well, he's a relentless attack guard. But right now, Carolina's staying in this game from the foul line. Kansas has to figure out a way to defend without fouling.
Another very strong night for Seth Trimble. Dickinson with a big height advantage on Lubin, and Lubin called for the foul. What is Carolina's answer? Well, it appears that Hubert Davis is hoping it's Jalen Washington. He's coming back in.
Well, one of the answers is when you're guarding a back down like that, you got to get your hands off him. Just use your body and you can be physical that way. But once you start pushing back with an arm bar and dislodging, they're going to call that.
R.J. Davis sat for 1 minute and 41 seconds. Went out at 10:56, back in at 9:15. And if it stays close, he probably is not coming out again. Coit getting point guard minutes with Harris on the bench. And a little miscommunication there between him and Dickinson.
That looked like a shot to me. How about the fight that North Carolina has shown on the defensive end? And they have been living at the line in this second half. Mostly the guards and wings rather than the big guys. But Kansas, everybody inside the lane. Nobody able to recover out to Jalen Withers.
What a turnaround in the second half here at Lawrence for Carolina. Jay, for people joining late, what are the Heels doing better?
They're doing a better job defensively. They have had more fight on the glass, and what they're really doing is getting to the foul line. I mean, Carolina's shot 27 free throws in this game to Kansas's 11 free throw attempts, and Carolina's made 25 of their 27 free throw attempts. And it's Kansas really fouling guards on a lot of tough twos. And the Jayhawks have got to force Carolina to make those shots over outstretched arms rather than foul them.
We got bonus both ways with 8.5 to go. Dickinson at the line. Bill Self out of the timeout. Put DeJuan Harris Jr. back into the game. His starting point guard playing with 4 fouls, but it was going well with him on the bench.
Yeah, you have to trust that your senior point guard, with all his experience, can play this last 8:33 of regulation without picking up another foul.
And Jalen Washington just picked up his 4th for Carolina. He and Ven-Allen Lubin each with 4, and both on the bench. So again, a small lineup. This is the second time tonight where, Jay, we have seen Drake Powell, who's really a wing, in there at the 4 spot.
Yeah, that means he's going to draw KJ Adams in all likelihood if they're not switching. And that moves Jalen Withers to the 5, so that is a small lineup. You have to expect that Kansas is going to look more to Hunter Dickinson as a result.
Wide open in the corner, and an air ball by Powell.
Kansas just couldn't get matched up, and Carolina let him off the hook.
Mayo. Dickinson for 3. And Withers the rebound. And we'll see if Kansas mans up a little more cleanly on this trip. It looks like they have. Davis got the switch. Withers is open again. And this time he hits it, and it is a 1-point game.
Dickinson stayed on the ball in that ball screen action. It was a pick and pop. And Withers, that was a lot of ground for Dickinson to cover to get back. And Withers did not rush that shot.
The Heels were down by as many as 20 in the first half. They are back within 1. Harris baseline, looking for help. Finds Mayo. And Carolina looking for the lead.
What a blockout by Drake Powell.
The last lead for the Tar Heels was very early at 10-9. Less than 5 minutes in.
Tough assignment here for A.J. Storr to try to stay with R.J. Davis.
Withers thought about it, puts it on the deck, and Carolina's on top.
Boy, what a great play by Withers. He just nailed a 3, gave a little shot fake, and blew by Hunter Dickinson.
Withers into double figures with 11. He's been a big part of this comeback. What is the Kansas response?
Well, you certainly can't pick up your dribble. Kansas has to move it more from side to side.
Harris the floater. KU back on top. Davis from the elbow. It won't go. And Harris will walk it up for the Jayhawks.
If I were Kansas, I'd look to try to run something to get into KJ Adams.
Withers comes out to get it. Now a touch for Dickinson. Here's the double.
Good pass.
Good fake. Everything but the finish. Mayo tries to run it down, and it will be Kansas ball. What a game we got going here at Lawrence, and Jalen Withers, Jay, a big part of why Carolina's back in it.
Well, Jalen Withers with the little pick and pop. Hunter Dickinson stays with the ball. Long closeout, and Withers makes him pay, knocking down the three. And then after that, he takes it right to the bucket and drives right past Dickinson. 10 from the foul line. Remarkable.
And he always liked when the right guys were getting to the line, the guys who could make the free throws.
Well, Kansas has to figure out, and Carolina's defense has been really good in this second half. And Kansas had 13 assists in the first half. They've only 3 in the second.
Griffin misses the three. Withers ahead to Davis. Withers with 11, all of them in the second half. Trimble again flying in. Withers not this time on the corner three. Another touch for Dickinson. Again, Lubin giving up a lot of size. But he did enough to bother him, and it's Carolina ball.
Well, he forced him to shoot it over instead of giving Hunter Dickinson an angle to the basket. Great pass.
And the lead grows to 3 for Carolina. Boy, what a gutsy performance in the second half in this kind of an environment. And is that it for Lubin? Did they just get him for a moving screen? They did, and that's going to be the end of the night.
He just carried the screen too far. All he should have done there is just roll. But watch, he just tries to keep contact with Zeke Mayo, almost like he was a pulling guard.
So Hubert Davis loses the services of Lubin for the rest of the night. Jalen Washington has returned. Harris off the glass and good. High degree of difficulty there for DeJuan Harris Jr.
Well, Hunter Dickinson was trying to move Jalen Washington up the lane, and he couldn't be a shot blocker.
Trimble, strong move and finish. What a night for Seth Trimble.
He is a man out there. What a big-time move by Seth Trimble.
19 now on the night for the junior. Storr. Adams on the deck. It bounces to Dickinson. Mayo's the open man. Call going against Kansas to take us to the under 4 timeout. Dickinson gets whistled for the foul, his 4th. What a game it has been all night long here.
That's the 30th free throw in this basketball game for North Carolina to only 13 free throw attempts for Kansas. That is a big number to overcome.
1 of 2 for Washington and a 4-point lead for Carolina. Their biggest lead, 5 very early in the game. Kansas's biggest lead, 20 on a couple of occasions back in the first half.
Boy, North Carolina's defense in this second half has been outstanding.
Boy, very aggressive, assertive move there by Dickinson.
When he gets 2 feet in the paint, he can just bury you in there.
He's got 17. And a turnover. Withers thought Trimble was staying where he was, and Trimble started cutting away from the pass.
Miscommunication and a turnover, but Carolina needs to move on. They've still got a 2-point lead here. They just need to let it go.
Good look in the corner, around and out for Storr. A shot that would have given the Jayhawks the lead. Davis, no. Boy, how did that not go down? And back comes Harris. Jones trailing the play, now getting in there. Harris can't shake Cadeau. Storr. Back to Dickinson, 8 to shoot. Mayo baseline. And Cadeau is called for a foul.
He had really forced that action into a really bad angle for Zeke Mayo. It was a good job to angle him out, but just I think it was the arms out that did it. It wasn't body positioning or anything like that.
So 1-1 now for Mayo. Sunday doubleheader, Michigan and Wake Forest in Greensboro. Wake looking to make some noise in the ACC. Steve Forbes has a lot of ability. Dusty May, of course, the head coach now in Ann Arbor. Arizona State and Gonzaga, 5 Eastern on ESPN. Mayo makes them both, and this game is tied. Not for long. Cadeau, another great pass, this time to Washington.
They just cleared out R.J. Davis and let Jalen Washington roll down the middle of the lane. A terrific play by Washington to finish.
Mayo off a screen, couldn't get the shot off. Forces it up, and it goes. Withers open in the corner. And it's out of bounds to the Jayhawks. A big comeback here in the second half for Carolina. It is tied at 89 with a minute and a half to go.
You got to think Kansas wants to run something to get Hunter Dickinson an angle.
A whistle that nobody could hear, but a timeout was called by Hubert Davis.
Boy, Kansas just ran a really good play to get the ball to Hunter Dickinson. They cleared all the action out from the right side to the left. And watch Hunter Dickinson on the left side. He's going to move his man up the lane. Help eliminate. I think they call that play nose. But just a terrific job of throwing over the top. There's no weak side help because everybody cleared out to the left side, left Hunter Dickinson all alone to operate. Just really well executed by Kansas.
A reminder again, the return visit is in Chapel Hill next year, and you made the point right off the top of the show. It's great when two programs like this play in the regular season. It's even better. It just doesn't get any better than this. Kansas by 2 with 1:06 to go. The Tar Heels are on the floor. Doug Sermons, the lead official, is trying to get the Jayhawks out of the huddle.
All that noise was during a timeout.
I know. It is amazing.
Best venue for basketball anywhere in the world.
No argument here. Inside a minute to go. Will it be Davis? Right now it's Cadeau. Now to the All-American and Davis. Shot clock at 5. Cadeau with the drive off the foot of Dickinson. And that is going to put the clock back to 20.
Boy, did Dickinson not gotten a foot on that. There was just 1 second left on the shot clock. Not sure Carolina still would have gotten a shot off.
Cadeau to inbound. Mayo trying not to give Davis any room. Washington, a corner three. And it's down to Storr. And he can make those shots. He didn't take a ton last year, but he shot a good percentage. But that one wouldn't go, and it's Kansas ball. 7 seconds between the game clock and the shot clock. No double team. Now here comes the swipe. And a foul by Trimble will send Dickinson to the line.
You certainly couldn't double off Zeke Mayo in the right corner. Otherwise, Dickinson would hit him for a wide open three. Washington doing a good job trying to keep him from getting to that right shoulder.
Dickinson 5 for 7 from the line tonight. He's got 2 coming.
The key right now for Kansas, make or miss. Know where R.J. Davis is. Make someone else make a play.
Dickinson trying to make it a 2-possession game. He does not. 10 seconds to go. A 3-point game. Washington to Cadeau. And with that victory, Jay, Bill Self has tied Phog Allen for the most wins ever here at this great institution.
What a memorable way to tie the great